What's going on, everybody? It's your favorite dating coach, Elliot Scott, and as you can see by the title below, we're going to talk about what to do when a guy comes back around, okay? When he ghosts you, how you should act. If he comes back around or he goes without a week without calling you, talking to you, what should you do? Now, if you haven't yet, please subscribe. Just click the red button below. I love you forever, along with the bell notification if you want to get my videos right away. And if you want to work with yours truly or get my course, Attraction Academy, links are down below. So, I think, I'm going to contradict myself a little here. I do think it's important to act a certain way because I think it's a feedback loop. How you act and what you respond to or what you let through your filter in terms of what's right or wrong is going to determine how he's going to act. I am a big believer that guys do what they do for two reasons, right? One, you let him, and two, he thinks he can get away with it. So if that's true, if you agree with me on that, which you probably do, how do we prevent that? I am a big believer on calling dudes out. Now, when I say that, the one thing I want you to get out of this video is you have to understand context and logic. If you've hooked up with him the first night and he doesn't call for a week, and you've only been on one date, you could call the guy out, but at the same time I want to say, what are you thinking? Like, what are you expecting? Seriously? You know, type of thing. But at the same time, if a guy and you have been talking for a while and it's inconsistent, I do think you have what I call the real estate, right? You have the grounds to say something. And I am a big believer, ladies, in saying something in terms of what you value. I always say you need to prioritize certain values or certain traits in a relationship. And if a trait to you that's important is consistency and communication, you need to demonstrate that. And now I know you're thinking, well, okay, Elliot, but I don't want to come off needy, or I don't want to come off clingy, or I don't want to come off. I understand that, but there's two things on that. Number one, it's never one thing that makes you look needy or clingy. You know, telling a guy these kind of things isn't going to make him think that. It's context. So it's what you do prior, it's what you do after. You know, like, I mean, if you hook up with him day one and you're acting kind of crazy and you're the one always initiating and he's not showing interest, and then you call a guy out on it, yeah, you're going to look a little needy. But that's because of the snowballing effect from the mistake you made in the beginning, which is hooking up with the guy date one. Now, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. There's a certain time and place and situation or vibe to have it done. And I think emotions, or just because I want to, which again, you can do whatever you want with your body, but there are consequences to your actions, okay? So just remember that. Again, I have nothing wrong with putting out on the first night. One of my best relationships was with a woman who I hooked up with the first night. And we went on dating for a long time. Great woman, awesome. But again, that's not how it always is, especially if you don't know what the guy's looking for in terms of a relationship. Did he just get out of one? The distance? Is he talking to other women? Is he a good-looking guy? Like, what's the benefit of him transitioning into a relationship with you if he's already had sex with you and it already feels like a relationship? He gets no benefit, you know, stuff like that. So, ladies, listen. Well, actually, let me backpedal. And the second part of you know, coming off needy or clingy is, again, I already talked about the context, but I need women to understand that it's never one thing, okay, that makes a guy think, you know what, I'm fucking done with this. No, what, I'm done with this shit. It's never that. It's either a lack of attraction, pressure, something else along the lines that makes him pull away or makes him feel like a girl's needy. What I'm trying to emphasize is, just because you want to see him, just because you reach out, just because you initiate, just because you ask to go on a date with a guy, doesn't make you clingy. It makes you interested. It just shows interest. There's nothing wrong with that. And a guy is going to just... What I'm trying to say, ladies, is... Okay, I'm going to sum up this video. The number one thing you need to do is demonstrate your standards. You need to draw them in the sand, okay? And those need to be based on the context of the situation and what you value or prioritize in a relationship. If you want communication and you want consistency, you need to say that. But at the same time, how much real estate do you have in his life? If you've only been on one or two dates, you can't really demand that. But if you But if you've been on if you've been on 1 or 2 dates and he goes a week without talking to you and then he comes back, you can, I guess you could say something, but it doesn't have the same oomph as if you were on 6, 7 dates talking for 2 months and he's hot and cold. You get what I'm saying? So you have to understand the logistics on where you stand, the context, and what you value. And I hope that you do say something, because what I tell a lot of women to say to guys is that, hey, you know what? I wouldn't have to say this. You're kind of calling a guy out and you have a chance of losing him here, but the guy needs to understand basically, like, dude, I wouldn't be like this if you were inconsistent. I wouldn't be like this if, I'm not saying say this part, but I wouldn't be like this if you would reply to my text instead of leaving me on red. Like, is that fair to say? Like, I tell women to argue logic. Argue logic, argue fairness. I'm not saying you have to reach out to me all the time, and if you want to text less, just communicate that to me. That's totally fine. But when you leave me on red, I feel like I'm not worth your time. Something like that. You have to argue logistics and fairness, okay? So with that being said, ladies, if you do that, you draw a line and stand on your standards based on your context, I think you're going to be okay. So, ladies, I love you all. If you haven't yet, please subscribe. Just click the red button below. Mwah, and peace.